So I'm assuming you all can still hear me. Gista. Is Gista online? Gista. Is that Olax? Okay, I can see Mr. Fizz, I can see Okiki. I can see Okiki. Okay, you use two devices. So let's start. I think I'm recording now and I hope that by God's grace it's still recording. Yeah, it's still recording by God's grace. So I have a form that looks like this. We've designed this before, like way before. Before now. So I just need you to open your own form that you just created that is having an input for students. So let me check the assignment that I gave so I'll know what we're working with. So this is it. That we have student name. Okay. It will have department and then level and then email. Okay. Those are the four things that is taken in. So all we just have to do now is to create our database that is accepting four different inputs. So I did this for test. Let me just try and look for a way to drop it. This is how you can delete to integrity agree. But I think there is a more here. Operation. Drop this database. So this is how you can delete the database. So I'm deleting this test. Is even this one I'm supposed to delete. This test database. So down to operations. You will see this remove database side, this section, and then you click on drop. So once you click drop, you click OK. It will remove it totally from the database. So same as this one too. I think I'll still remove this. Let me drop this also. You click on operations and then down here you drop the database, click on OK. It will destroy the whole database. Okay. So this was just an illustration of how a database looks like from our last class. Yeah, this is just here is an announcement table. This is the name of the database, election database. So these are tables under it. So we have table for announcements that is having topic and content, just topic and content. So as for the structure, we can see that the ID is used as the primary key and it's under auto increment function. And then we have the topic table that is accepting voucher as the data type and then is limited to 100 for the topic and then the content is limited to 300 characters for the content. And then we have created that which the type is timestamp and the default is current timestamp for it to automatically detect the time and date for that particular data that is coming in. And then we have the updated that is also performing the same actions. So later we will know the difference between created at and updated at. But for now, these are just the two things that is coming inside this database table announcement. So today we are going to be working with your own form. Your own form. Actually, I meant to design a form that also looks like the assignment that was given, but I didn't have enough time. So we are going to work with this, but you can integrate it to make yours look like this. So please just follow us. Focus to congratulate you. Please just follow us. So where's my code? So this is my code here for hard. Let's keep that part. So this is my code here for hard. And this hard table here, this hard form here simply means I'm just adding a product. So let me explain my form to you. This is a PHP code that does some kind of confirmation check if a data has been imputed, if the data that have been imputed are correct. And everything here is just for it to show errors. So I will explain this into details, but for now, just let's focus on the form. So the form has an action, is empty, but the method post here is what is required. So we have the post method for it to like take in data in form of post request. And we have the first input is just the type and then the name that is being needed in this scenario. So the name here what is email. So we can call that later in our PHP function. We have another what name here to be what product name. We have another one to be product price, and we have another one to be the details. Yeah, that's all. And this is just a submit button. So in the submit button, I can give it name to be equals to what submit. So I will explain why I'm giving this button a name. So the button is just there in the sense that it will help you to take in an if statement check to check if this data has been submitted. So the if statement here just checks if this is set. If the post request for submit it's set, that is when this particular function is going to carry out, execute. That's when it's going to be executed. So whichever thing that we type in here will be um the the function that we execute if there is a submit action here. So by default, by the time you refresh this page, this submit will not have a value. It will not have any value yet because the button was not clicked. But at the point of clicking submit, this particular statement becomes one because it's a post request. It becomes one, and then this is set, validates that okay, something has been set, and then this if statement will what we execute. So let me just say echo submitted. So this is what it will do here. At the point of we clicking submit, it will just echo this out. So this error code that you are seeing here is just a advanced way of using PHP to check your input fields if it's valid or not. So here is what I did. I imputed a div tag that will check that will not show by default. It will only show if there is an error statement. Error statement for the email, error statement for the product name, error statement for the price, error statement for the details. So this is the if check. So by default, all these values are equal to an empty string. So if this string is empty, then definitely this div will not show. I hope you guys understand that. So the error statement here simply means it's going to check if there is an error in the email, and then it will execute this. If there's an error with the page name, it will execute this, and so on and so forth like that. But for now, let me just show you what it means here, and then we'll continue. So have you seen that? This one is just advanced. We'll treat that very soon. But for now, let me just comment that out. So at submitting this, if I should input anything here, okay. So you've seen the submitted here. This is exactly what we execute immediately after clicking submit. So what's wrong with this now? I think I've added too much code to this. Okay, this is the value here. This is exactly what's going on. So this is just a form we have for the email. Let me now create a table that we save, that we use to store data for that particular product. So the database name, I'm using products DB, product database. At the point of me clicking create, so in my project, I have a space for email, product name, products. This is the name of the table. So first thing, I'm starting with ID and then email, product name, underscore name. Which other thing again do we have? Product price and product details. So I need about, so this for product details, year for created at, and year for updated at. So the type that I specify for this is integer, and then we don't need for length, just onto increment. So automatically that's the primary key. So for the email voucher, let me give it maximum character of 50, and product name also voucher, let me give it 100. Product price integer, it will be in numbers, let me give it cap of 50 characters. Which other thing? Product details voucher details 255. Created at, I specified using timestamp, and then the default, so that it will automatically use the current timestamp. So that's all for this table, for products table. Point of clicking save. So we already have this. We already have this. Mm-hmm. Let me just insert data here using this interface. Let me see example. So we have something in our table. Product name. So product price. Let me see, 50,000. So the product details. Where can I get content like this? So current timestamp, you don't need to input any details for it, but you can add code it by just selecting any of this. But this current timestamp is like a function that we execute, taking the exact time and date that this particular details is being saved in the database. So on clicking go, this is the exact function that just, I mean, the exact code that has just been carried out. Insert into this products table. For the ID, the email, and everything that is the column in that table, these are now the values that are now imputed in the table. So this null is representing this ID, because the ID is already set as a primary key by default. So you are not expected to add anything inside. So it will just automatically generate the ID for you. And then the email is for this, the product name is for the whole data in this column, and so on. So checking our data table from browse, you can see all the details inside here. So that's how you can insert using this normal interface. So now in this case, we want to make use of this form. What makes of this form to input those details? So the first thing first you have to do in your code is to have a configuration file. So in this folder, this my project folder, I can just create a file and call it config.php. So this config now is like a kind of file that does an attachment between this your particular project together with your database having this particular name. Can you see product DB? So I will get that code from here where I have configuration of PHP. So this is the code that is needed. So now let me explain everything because it's a PHP file. That's why I'm starting with this. So on our line 3, this define simply means is everything here is just by default for using MySQL as your database. So you are defining the database server as localhost. So on the norms, if you are not using a localhost, you will specify the name of the host, the database that is hosting. How will I put that? The database that you are using to host this particular file. That's what you specify here. But in this case, we are using it locally. So the server here is localhost, which is what you can see here. And then the user is root. This root simply means the owner of the system. So that is the user. And there is this DB pass here, simply means the password. So because I'm using the localhost, and the user here is the root user of this system, the password should be left empty. And then we have the database name. The database name simply means the name of the database that I want to use in this local host server. So I'm making use of this product DB, which is why I'm going to edit this to be product DB. So don't forget the fact that this config, I'm using it in this project. So I will explain how you will attach it to every file, every PHP file that you are going to be using the database. So this is a variable name now that I'm declaring to be able to have a connection to this MySQL, to this query, database server, the database user, the password, and the name. It will just confirm everything using this statement, MySQLi connect. If this is connected, it will save the connectivity inside this variable database. So if this is wrong, that is, if there is an error in this code, it will just echo connection error. So it will not give us data into this variable. So once you save this, at the point of you trying to import the details that are being saved here. Okay, I wanted to make an explanation here before, but I didn't complete it. So let me comment this out. So I've explained how this if set works. So in case there is an input already in this form, yes, I've commented this already. So okay, email. This is how it's mostly done. Underscore post, and then we now specify the particular content email like this. So this simply means that it will first check if there is a post submit, and then it will now execute everything that you see here. So the first thing is that in the post request, it will look for email. The data that is being sent saved in that email will enter this variable name. So at this point of me echoing, I can now decide to echo out the Gmail, I mean the email, and then let me just say I'm concatenating it with this statement. So I hope you all understand this. So I've saved it. Me coming here. Let me refresh again. So if I should input anything here, I click submit. Can you see? So we have the seller email.com, and then that stuff that's concatenated here. Please, sorry. So let me comment this one out. So we all see that the post request actually works here. So at the point of me connecting it to our database, let me first fetch out everything that I need here. I need the email, I need the product name, which is like this. Is it key name? Yes, just like this, as the product name. Mm-hmm. And then I have the P price like this for the product price. Which other one again? After P price, product details. Okay, it's even just details. Okay, so by now you understand this. Uh-huh. You understand this, yes. So at the point of clicking submit, we'll first check if our database is correct. This is how there. This is a query here. So you insert MySQL query inside this database, and then you now have these old details here. Insert into. So let me show you down here. So we are not echoing anymore. We are just checking in our MySQL code. Okay. So it's not database. It is our config. Okay, yeah, it's database. And our database is confirming. Insert into what's the name of our database? Product DB. Inside products table. You can see the code for insert here into product. So you will now specify the table, the column that you want to put in the details. So what are the details? We want to input details inside. We won't put ID. So please be careful about the structure of your code. This email, they are all in small letters. That's what I needed to confirm. Email, and then comma. You have what else again? The product name. We have the product price. Please hope you guys are still following. It's like I'm not hearing anything again. Okay, we have the product details. Yeah, so that's all. Inside, you're inserting it into the values. You now input the values that are to be inserted inside, just like how we have here. So the values, you now specify it using single quotes also. So this is the kind of quotes that you should use for each of the values that you're imputing, or you can use double quotes. But in order not to have errors, just use single quotes, and it is all the variables that you have here. So you have to arrange it based on what you have right here, so that they won't conflict. So you have email right here, and then we have product name. So you see, I'm still following my naming convention. So product price and product details. Yep. So you can see I did it with a single quotes. I mean double quotes. So this double quotation is for the whole thing that is right here. So what happened to this bracket? hmm So this bracket ends right here. Exactly. So it will check if this particular query has been executed. So this variable that you see here, this database simply means for this configuration. So it will check if this is being configured here. So then it will now run this my SQLi query, which is insert into products. Inside the column of email, product name, product price, product details, and then it will insert the values that have been saved here, the email, the product name. So I'm just checking if the spellings are correct. Product price and product details, yes, pluralized. Uh-huh. So once you click save, this done here, I'm just saving this in the sense that I might later want to check if this was successful. If this is successful, it will surely give 1, and if it's not successful, it will give 0. So that's just like a return function. So we will now have like an if statement to check if this is successful, then this particular set of codes should run. So it's just like we can still have another code aside from this. Can you see this suggestion? If my SQL number rows particular for done is greater than 0, that is, if it is true, that is just what this is actually trying to say. If this is true, then you should execute this also function. But there is something we do here. If insert is true, then perform all this function, header location. It will direct you to another particular place. Yes. I think you must have heard of header location now. So if uh, and I want to write an if statement. If this particular is done, this done is true, then it should perform this header location. So I just want to take it to index.html. Yep. And else, I can give it an else statement. Just echo out error. So with this now, it's just as simple as saying it will check if the submit button is clicked. It will save all the data that have been inputted in the field. For email, it will save it inside email. It for the name, it will save it inside the name. For the price, it will save it inside this. For details, it will save it inside here. And then this is the SQL query that we execute together with this database. This database here is the configuration that we have here. So it will check if all these are being as stated are already correct. And then it will now look for the database, this particular database name, which is product database. Then inside this product database, it will now insert into the table called products for the columns of email, product name, product price, product details, and these are the values that will be inside the the variables that we've declared up here. So if this done is actually correct, that is, it is greater than 1, because there is something called a return value in Python and several other coding language. So there will be a return value if this is being executed correctly. So if the value is 1, that means yes, it is true, something happened here. But if it is 0, that means it did not work. So This if statement here is just for us to check if this done is actually correct, or you can say if this done is greater than 0, then this is what we would execute. But if without you even putting anything, as far as an if statement, it will check if this is true. So if this is true, header location will direct us back to index.php. And if it is not true, else it will just echo out this error in our code. So let's go back to our form and reload. So yeah, everything here is blank now. So let's input the data here. Price, and this is all the details that we have. Okay, undefined variable database in this on line 121. Database is what we use in this config. Okay. I get. In every configuration, we have to include this. Any file where we are using config. Yeah, the guy, don't call me now. So please, are you still with me? I had a call now. So in this file, we are ah Joma Binu. I will call you back later. I'm in a meeting. Please, I beg you. Yeah, just message me. Please. Sorry, can you guys hear me? I had a call just now. That's why I had a call just now. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So I was saying that for you to make use of this file, this config, is in another file. It's not particularly inside this add file. Add.php file. So for you to make use of, you have to include it to your code. That's exactly where I made mistake. So saving it, this include is just an statement for you to include an external file inside your code. So I'm including my config.php. That is the reason why I will be able to make use of this particular variable, this database variable from this include file. And this is exactly what it's going to do. That's just everything here. Let's go back. Yes, so we have these all details. So exactly, it worked. Can you see it brought us back to the index.php? So this is the index page. And now let me now go and check my database. So this is my database. So in my database, once I click on browse, you will see it here. Can you see it? Seller@gmail.com, and then this is a new row. Please, you all get that. This is a new rule already. So automatically, if I should come back to this add products and I input another kind of Gmail with a different details entirely, on clicking submit, it will work again. It will take you see that header location brought me back to this index.php if the data has been submitted to the what to the database. So coming here to the database, at the point of me refreshing, another data has entered. Can you see this is how you can insert? So this data has been inserted and you can see the current timestamp. They are exactly the same. 9 o'clock is 21 o'clock. So that's basically how to insert into your database. And I would like we all to try that form in our form for students. Please, let's try it. So basically in our crude operations CRUD, we've learned how to create. So in our next class we learn how to read. So the read is just like you are trying to select from the database. So is either you select or you select a specific data. So do we all understand? Yeah. So is there any other question you'd like to ask? Is there a question you'd like to ask? Okay, so I think I will let me try and send this file. So you'll be able to have the code. So I think I was using PHP tutorials, project, config, this PHP. So I've sent the config file, so you have a clear vision of this on your system. So the only thing that you need to edit here is the database name. As far as you have localhost, everything is the same here. So it's just the database name that you will change, and in your code, which is this add, where you are inserting the place where you have your form input, you include it there. So because I saved my configuration file as config.php, that's why I'm including it here as config.php. And then you can now run your if check to check if the statement, if this submit button is being clicked, then everything here will execute. So that's basically how to insert. At the same time, we can delete, but I've not edited my this thing to be able to show a list. So that's what we are going to do in our next class. Our next class will be able to show a list of all the data that we have in our database, like a table, like a table like this, that we have a list of everything that we have here. Just like how I made mention of this before. Okay, this is it. Sorry. Just like how we have a list for year, we can also have an edit and a delete button. So we can integrate that to our form. This our project. So we have a form like this. We can now have a list in our index, that we have a list of products that we display like a table like this, in form of table or in form of a card. So we can have a function for delete. So I think we still don't have much time now. Should we run delete? Let me hear you. Okay, okay. So next class we'll talk about how to select. The select aspect is just the read operation. So now we've learned how to create. So in next class we'll learn how to read. That is, we are fetching data from the database, we are selecting from the database. uh So that's exactly what we're doing in our next class. So thank you all for joining. Thank you all for listening. Do have a great night, and please practice it too. Okay, you downloaded the VTC app. Okay, okay, okay. I will check the recording. What might have actually happened probably is the network connection, or when someone called me. Someone just called me recently and I had to hang up. If it is not that, I'll check my recording. My recording should not have any network disruption because it's recording it directly from here. I'm using another extension for the recording. So I will drop the recording videos now, immediately after hanging up. Okay. But the recording will be in web media format.